teams. And, when we've been able to win game one, in particular whether you have home court advantage, it's just a big step. So when your team is really good to begin with, you win that first game, it helps a lot. And there have been some times where we've had to go on the road and win a game one, which really flips the series in your favor. So, I don't know. I don't want to read too much into the stat, but we just try and keep the team focused on really taking this thing one game at a time, and winning that first game definitely helps and gives us some things to build on.
Eric, you guys won the points in the paint by 18. Can you ever lose if you do that?
I'm sure it's possible,
but not easy.
But it definitely makes things difficult for the opposing team. When we can, be dominant in the paint. And Andrew and Powell with their size and length, and Kobe being active in there, and Ron cutting in there and being physical. Lamar's activity. That's where our advantages are with this team in terms of our front court. And Kobe, even though he's a guard, he spends a lot of time below the free throw line extended. So it puts a lot of pressure on teams defensively.
Pleasantly surprised with Drew's activity in this game?
Not in particular. I think he's, when he's, had the ability to have this kind of game, he's done it. So it doesn't surprise us, for him to come out and play well. He's really been a trooper and given us everything that he has, and we're appreciative of it. And that's why we want to take advantage of this opportunity and make sure we continue to protect our home court right now.
Derek, they had a little bit of a run to start the fourth, but you never allowed it to get down past that 10-point cushion. In the Phoenix series, you had two 18-point leads that they nearly, one they came all the way back from the tie, another one they cut down to 3. Did you learn from that and maintaining that cushion, kind of keeping their will, their confidence from ever growing too high?
Well, you learn from just about every experience, but this was a weird kind of game, in terms of a lot of stoppages in play, a lot of free throws. So the game never really found a flow. And even when they kind of cut into the lead, we were able to get a timeout or a ball stop. And, we finally were able to get a couple possessions where we executed really well and got a high percentage shot. And that's when we're at our best. And so, we have to definitely do a better job than we did in the fourth quarter in terms of our execution. But it's helpful to have a lead that you can work with if you do have a slip up or have 4 or 5 minutes where you aren't playing your best game.
What do you think of that weird chippy start with 27 seconds in it? Bingo already, it's physical.
Not a surprise. It's the finals. Both teams recognizing how important game one is, how important it is to set the tone out there, and we're not going to back down. They're not going to back down, and you'll have some dust-ups every now and then, but for the most part, both teams are really just playing hard and competing, doing everything they can to give their teams a chance to win.
I'm sure you guys can be pretty physical too, though, can't you?
Yeah, it's a physical game, once you reach the finals, there's just not much that's going to happen easy for you out there. So, you have to definitely, compete and really be intense out there every second.
Derek, you took a charge, but I don't think you're going to get the 50 now. Apparently, you only get like a red check. But you'll take it because it's got to play some defense.
Yeah, no, it'll come back to me in other ways, I guess. If we can go ahead and finish the job, maybe and.
You have a knack for doing that, though, as a Rondo. I don't know, but you know what? You're going to pay the price at this point.
Oh yeah, you have to be willing to throw your body in there and take the hits. Dive on the floor for loose balls. Scratches, elbows. Pushing whatever it takes to, help your team win. You have to be willing to do. And I thought we did a lot of that tonight. Everybody really was, scrapping and doing the best they could. And even when we made some mistakes or we didn't do things very well, I don't think there was any question in terms of the effort or the intensity, and that worked really well for us today.
In 2008, Derek, one of the guys who was accused of maybe being bullied a little bit was Pau Gasol, and tonight obviously he came up with a huge performance in terms of the rebounds and just generally dominating the paint. Do you think, and have you seen him come on in the last 2 years?
I don't know. I think he's just continuing to play his game. Really, I think that's what he's done best. He hasn't tried to go in the weight room and gain 20 pounds and start pushing people around. He's just continue to do what Pau Gasol does, and that's using his skills and his ability to see the court, pass the ball, shoot the ball, a high basketball IQ, and I think he's gotten more comfortable with this team. I mean, he was basically with us for 3 months at that time, and so I think he's much more comfortable, obviously, over the last couple of years doing what he needs to do to help us win.
Is there a change in the mentality of the team, more aggressive approach maybe than last time around?
No, I don't think, in 2008 we were not aggressive, and that's why we lost. I think we got beat by a team that was better than us at that time. They played 4 better games than we did, and it's as simple as that. I don't think we're, all of a sudden now we're just more aggressive, and that's the difference between this time and last time. I just think we, as a team, we're connected more. We've been through some battles. We've been through a lot of things together over the last couple of years, and I think it's just strengthened our fortitude, but not because we, mentally weren't aggressive or wanting to be strong out there a couple of years ago.
What difference did you see tonight between the Celtics team in 2010 compared to 2008? Was something that stuck out at you?
No, not at all. I hope we don't have to answer these questions the whole series. It's 2 years later, guys. It's just like asking me what's different from my 3-year-old 2 years later and they're 5. Well, they're 5. That's the difference. But, there's not – I don't know what I can point to and say, this time other than just different personnel,
Celtics are playing like 5-year-olds?
No, I'm sure you'd love to quote me on that, but that is not what I said. But I'm sure that doesn't really matter. You'll find a way to put it in there.
You talked about the disjointed nature of the game, a lot of stops and play, kind of mucky. What does it mean for you guys to pull out a win like that, particularly when your offense is so based on precision and flow and rhythm?
Well, I think it speaks to really having to remain focused over longer periods of time. Basketball is a flow game, and so when there are a lot of stoppages in terms of timeouts, fouls, take the ball out on the side, whatever, you never really get that basketball flow to the game. So it really tests your focus mentally. During those 4-minute, 5-minute timeouts, you have to hold on to the things you talked about in the timeout and carry that back out on the floor. And so that's where the challenge lies, and I think we overall did a good job holding ourselves together even during a lot of the kind of back and forth of the game.
Do you look forward every once in a while to winning an ugly game or just wanting to get one to see how you guys do?
Yeah, I personally don't mind, winning games that come out however they come out. I think there's, even earlier in the postseason when we played Oklahoma City and there was a lot of talk about us not winning a certain way.
Right.
And, I said it then and I'll say it now. If you're ahead at the end of the game, you did something right. You're playing against the best teams in basketball at the most important time of the season. To think that you're just going to get up by 18 and just kind of cruise into a win, it's not going to happen. And, of course, you'd love to keep a 20-point lead, but playing against the best team in the game, out of the Eastern Conference. And, we'll take this win and build up for Game 2.
Can you take more out of it, though?
I don't know if we can take more out of it than what it is. It's one game won, and puts a lot of emphasis on Game 2 for both teams. There really isn't much that has changed. When you have home court advantage, you really have to win your game